And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Monumental Lost Kingdoms. Now this is not the game Monumental. If you like Monumental or want to learn about that, I've done a review of Monumental. This is just taking a look at the extra stuff that comes in this box. And since I backed this one, the deluxe one with the actual miniatures rather than the tokens. But this adds 4 new civilizations and the ability to use a 5th player. And a few more tiles. That's pretty much it. Let me show you. So first of all, there are some new tiles that are included to the game. The bridge tile means you can only go to it from one of the 2 sides of the bridge. The Aztec pyramids, when you conquer these, you have to pay an extra gold. The desert, whenever you go here, one of your guys just dies whenever you conquer it. And the jungle, you have to pay an extra red resource to get into this spot, even if you already control it. Just, I guess it's hard to get into the jungle. You can also add a 5th player to the game. This is not something that I would recommend. I think the game is already pretty long with the 4 players as it is, but there are maps that are now included in the rulebook for purposes of playing with 5 players, and also there's maps included in there that use the new different tiles that are included with the game. But you have these new tiles here if you want to play with a 5th player, and there are more cards along with the corresponding tokens, and you can still play with these even if you're playing with less than 5 players. It's going to make your game longer, or you can pull some of the stuff out. It tells you if you're playing with, like, for example, 3 players, you just add these to the deck and then you pull a certain number of cards off. But hey, yay, relativity is in the game, flight's in the game, move one of your explorers to any province, that's pretty cool, and theater, that's cool. I like having this extra stuff. There are 4 new factions, 4 new civilizations in this game. The first is the Aztecs, who have the very gruesome task or ability to sacrifice their soldiers. And basically you just put those soldiers on top of your warlord card, and then there are different effects that will allow you to either sacrifice them or return them. So for example here, I can sacrifice a soldier to gain a gold. When he conquers a province, he can sacrifice a soldier to get 2 resources. Here, though, this herbal medicine lets you bring a sacrificed soldier back. Discard a card in your city. Here, the first time you sacrifice a soldier each turn, you get 2 science. The first time you sacrifice a soldier each turn, you get 2 production. Sacrifice 2 soldiers to get a culture. When you conquer an opponent's province, return 1 sacrificed soldier to your capital and gain 1 gold. So essentially you have these cards in your deck that are going to allow you to basically take your soldiers out of the game, and you have to determine how many of those you want to take out so that you get these resources pretty fast, but then you might run out of soldiers, so you have to figure out how to bring them back. So it's a very interesting kind of seesaw. I wouldn't recommend this faction for a new player. The Aztecs come with horses. This is a new resources. So you can see once per turn when she conquers a province, you get a horse. And then you have cards here, get a horse or pay a horse to get 2 basic resources. Really interesting, though, is horseback riding. You can mount up to 2 soldiers you control on the board with 2 horses from your supply. So you can take somebody, put them on them, and now they are +1 defense, which is a little odd to me because I would figure they'd be +1 attack, but they're +1 defense, and they're there together the rest of the game. And you can see that this is pay a horse to get a culture. When activating a card, discard it, pay 2 horses to build a wonder section for free. Get a horse when you build this one. Any province with a horse in it costs 1 more military to conquer. So it's all about the horses. This one is an easier one for someone new to the game to play. Probably the easiest one in this section. Also has really cool model. I really like the leader of the Aztecs. I don't know. That's just a really cool setup. The Mughals are very different than any other faction. Really cool giant miniature here. Basically, when he conquers a province, he can activate a card in a city that you already haven't activated this turn, so that's pretty neat. But the main difference with these guys is their cards here. So when you put out a cultural policy, whichever one you might pick, so let's say maybe I pick secularism, which gives you pay a basic resource to get 2 matching resources. But you'll notice it says play next to a row or column in your city. So the first 3 that you put into effect, you must put next next to the different rows in your city. And then after that, you're going to put them underneath these columns. What this does is when you activate that row, you also get the benefit of that card. So you can change your cultural policies, essentially. In the regular game, everyone else just has one in play. You have one that you'll pick from, and once you get the 2 column ones built, you can have 2 that you're running, and you can run both of them. Now, they're not exceptionally strong. Well, here, provinces cost an extra military. Move both my explorers. Gain a gold. That's probably the one that I would pick most of the time first. But it's still a neat thing to have, and it activates every turn. They're not discarded. So this really gives them a nice feel of freedom. And then finally, there's the Atlanteans. Now, the Atlanteans, led by Atlas here, above your city, you're going to put the safe harbor and maritime exploitation. These are starting, this is called the Nexus area. And each turn, you can use one of the cards in your Nexus area. You use the one here, then you kind of rotate them and just move them along the line. And whenever you get new knowledge cards, they're added to your Nexus, so you're going to just be constantly rotating these cards. So it gives you an extra card that you'll be able to use. It lets you use your knowledge cards differently. And then your cultural cards, like here, you can get rid of one of those knowledge cards to get 2 science. It still counts for scoring at the end of the game. Or here I can activate any card in my Nexus, not just the first one. And the first time I conquer a coastal province, I can ignore its terrain value. They also have stuff about conquering stuff next to the sea. So that's the Nexus. It's just kind of an extra area, and it kind of pushes this faction here, this civilization, to go for the knowledge cards more than anything else. The box has a tray for all the inserts, for all the miniatures, and you can see the miniatures are fantastic looking as they were. And then underneath that, the trays actually slide into each other. Then we have the other things. Now, one of my problems with the game, with this particular one, is these new tiles look fantastic, and I don't know that they couldn't have just put, for example, a little bit of symbology as to what these tiles do, since they all have very specific things. And then we got the gray rings for the extra player, and the artwork and stuff is just as fantastic as everything else. Now, I have not tried to squeeze all this stuff into the main box. I'd like to if I could. I think it will fit without the trays. We'll have to wait and see. But if not, it does all fit nice and neatly into this box. I don't care one whit about the 5th player part. Like I said, probably not going to even play this much with 4 players. 5 would just be too long for me. Having the few extra cards is fine, and the extra tiles, they're nice, and it's neat that there's some variety there. Like I said, I do wish that they would put a little symbol on the tiles so you remember their special abilities. Well, the bridge one, but other than that. But that's not the point. You're getting this box because you want these 4 new factions, especially factions which may or may not have been real, right? They're 4 very fun factions. They're 4 factions that have very unique things about them, and they're slightly more complex than the ones in the base box. So if you've never played Monumental, don't get this. Get Monumental, play it, see if you like it. But if you do like Monumental, then this increases the number of playable civilizations from 5 to 9. It's a nice pick, and they don't feel overpowered, I think, so far. They do feel neat, though, to play. I think, personally, my favorite of these is, I don't know. You never mind. I'm having a hard time picking. There's not a single one of these 4 factions that I don't like. I find them all to be fascinating. Well, maybe the Aztecs. I'm not a big fan of sacrificing my own units to get resources. It sounds good at the onset, but I'd just be too tempted. I'd end up with a lot of resources and a lot of dead guys. But some people, that might be their style. If you like playing the Necromancers or Black and Magic or something like that, I think that the Aztecs might work for you. But either way, it does give more options. Yes, it's slightly more complex, each of these, but I will say this: I didn't have to keep looking up rules for the factions. When you play these, you explain, here's how the Nexus works. Here's how, you put your culture cards to decider. Here you have horse tokens. Very straightforward stuff, and I do appreciate that. They're a little trickier maybe to play, but they're not tricky to learn or remember how the rules work. So, you want more stuff? Monumental Lost Kingdoms is what you're looking for. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved!